any of them. Sorry. The Lebanese are good people, but they're far. They're about 45 minutes away. But the other two near my house, one of them I have to get the vaccine to go, and the other one has me, so I don't go.
Come over here. You can come over here.
I had my own place just for American converts. $80 and a food warmer. Everything else came from outside.
جهاد نورانیت قرآن منور افکار مکایف اسلام روشن شود. بسم الله الرحمن الرحیم. زرد زاده مجم علی در خون شماور شد، دل زهرا پر از خون شد، فغان زندم فغان زندم. زرد زاده مجم علی در خون شماور شد، زرد زاده مجم علی در خون شماور شد، دل زهرا پر از خون شد، دل زهرا پر از خون شد، فغان دلم فغان دلم. طلوع صبح شد اما طلوع صبح شد اما فضای صبح گلگون شد، دل زهرا پر از خون شد، فغان دلم فغان دلم. حسن گریان حسین نالان، حسن گریان حسین نالان، توی مسجد شتابان شد، دل زهرا پر از خون شد، فغان دلم فغان دلم. اجماعاً سلام. علی امشب چرا بهره، علی امشب چرا بهره، عبادت بر نمیخیزد، چرا شیر خدا از بر طاعت بر نمیخیزد، چرا شیر خدا از بر طاعت بر نمیخیزد. خدا جویی که از یاره، خدا یک دم نشد غافل، چراغ داده که از بهره، عبادت بر نمیخیزد. از آن ضربت که بر فرق علی زرزاده مرجم، از آن ضربت که بر فرق علی زرزاده مرجم، یقین دارم که از جاتا قیامت بر نمیخیزد، یقین دارم که از جاتا قیامت بر نمیخیزد. به مهرابی دادر خون شناور گشت شیریه، به مهرابی در خون شنو برگشت شیریان دگر برید و رب رحمت بر نمیخیزد طبیب زخمی سرش را دید گفت با حسرتی بسیار علی دیگر از این بستر سلامت بر نمیخیزد علی دیگر از این بستر سلامت بر نمیخیزد اجماع شد.
اللهم صل على محمد. الحمد لله. بسم الله الشيخ.
Please recite a loud salawat.
اللهم صل على محمد.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين بارك الخلائق أجمعين والصلاة والسلام على خير خلقه سيدنا ونبينا ومولانا أبي القاسم محمد الصلاة والسلام على الذين طاهرين المعصومين ولعنة الله على أعدائهم من الأنبياء ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي القدير فأما بعد فقد قال الله سبحانه وتعالى في كتابه المجيد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إنا أنزلناه في ليلة القدر وما أدراك ما ليلة القدر ليلة القدر خير من ألف شهر صدق الله العظيم صلى الله عليه وسلم
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
Brothers and sisters, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Have you guys ever seen one of those pictures, one of those paintings, where when you look at it, zahiran, it's masalan the picture of a landscape. But the more you look at it, and if you look at it with diqqat, if you really be attentive when you look at this picture, then you can see another picture inside the picture. You know what I don't even know the real name for it, but you guys know what I'm talking about, right? Sometimes they have it written a certain way or drawn a certain way, and you see something on the outside. But when you really pay attention to it, then you see something else, huh? This dunya, for recognizing that azamat al-Khuda, the greatness, the glory of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it can be like that. And when we look around at the world around us, we see one picture, and especially because we became used to this picture, right? We got a habit of seeing this picture, right? So it's very difficult for us sometimes to look at this picture and see through the picture and to see the greatness and glory of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this world. So this is one of the tests that we face. Like we're heading towards liqa. You know, when the veil is lifted from our eyes when we die, right? Then we're going to see all the realities and we'll recognize the truth of everything. But until then, with this veil, deep veil over our eyes, we have to really pay attention to recognize and bear witness to the glory and the greatness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There are some things here in this earth that reflect that glory and greatness of Allah. The greatness of Allah, the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But we take them for granted. We take a lot of them for granted. So for instance, the stars in the sky, the signs that Allah has set out for us in the earth, the wonders in the ocean, right? These are all signs of the greatness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But we have to look at these signs right, or we won't be able to appreciate the greatness of Allah. Because we take these things for granted sometimes. Because we're living in this dunya, the sun rises, the sun sets, the moon comes out, the stars shine, and we get used to it, and it all gets kind of boring to us, and we don't pay attention to the greatness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The beauty that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has surrounded us with, and the glory, the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has also set these signs in our religion also. Signs where we can see the power and the greatness and the glory and the beauty of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so Salat is one of them, as an example. Even though we also take Salat for granted, right? Let's be honest. Sometimes we jump up and we make the Salat, and we get done, and we're done before we even recognize that we made the Salat. We don't even think about what's going on in the Salat, right? But Salat is also one of these signs of the glory and greatness of Allah. Salat is also one of these things that can remind us of the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so, for instance, if you want to go near Salat, right? You want to make your Salat. So, your body, your clothes, and even the place where you pray, it has to be tahir. It has to be pure. This is showing you the power, the greatness of Allah, the glory of Allah, that you cannot go near that greatness, that azamat, without purity. The demand for purity before we go towards the greatness and glory of Allah is emphasizing on that greatness and glory and power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because we're required to pay attention to that purity, not just of our body, but of our clothes, and in the place that we're praying also, right? And so there's certain rules also. It's not just that you can go and make salat anyhow you want. You have to face Makkah. There's certain actions that have to be done in a certain tartib, in a certain order, in a certain way. It has to be carried out. And so, for instance, one thing that just the other night we were talking about here at the masjid, I think outside, where should your eyes be when you make salat, when you're making the salat? And the general rule is always the eyes should be down. And so when you're standing up in qiyam, you should be looking at the place where you're going to do sajda. When you're in ruku, you should be looking down again, not up, down again. When you're in sajda, you should be looking back. Eyes always down. This is indicating on that power and greatness and glory of Allah. It's a reminder to us of the greatness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? And the entire prayer, I mean, even if we look at Salat, the entire prayer is centered on declaring the greatness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yet the centerpiece of the prayer is what? Allahu Akbar. This is it's a Persian mi'bar, the centerpiece around which the prayer circulates. We say Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, yani ruku. Allahu Akbar, yani sajda. So at the very center of the salah, again, we're declaring the glory and the greatness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And even when we look at the things that we're saying in the salah, when we're in ruku, subhanallah. And when we go in the sajda, which really, sajda is the high point of the salah, even though it's the lowest point, right? But it's the great climax of the salah. When we go into the sajda, what are we saying? Subhanallah, a'la. Yani we're at the lowest. We're at the lowest in the salah, but we're declaring glory be to Allah, who's the highest. So even in the salat, we see that there are numerous reminders for us about the glory, the power, the kingship of Allah, the rububiyyat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that's reminded to us in the salah. I mean, in even the simplest things. If you forget where you are, is this rakat number 1 or rakat number 2? The prayer is batil. And there's some things that will make the prayer batil, that will make the prayer void. If you say something that is outside of the prayer, so we're making salah, and a child is doing something that's dangerous, and in the midst of the salah, we say, hey, get away from there. Salah is batil. You think it? One time I went to a masjid, our brother's masjid, right? So your brother is Yom Eid. And I'm standing near the door. And there's a brother to the left of me. He's making salah. Everybody come in the door. Then we're in the saf. The imam is reciting. The salah is batil. Because anything you say outside of those requirements for salah, any motion that you make outside the requirement of that salah is batil. So we can do things to make the salah batil. You can't, there's some things that will make the salah batil, some things that we'll say will make the salah batil, right? But also we can't just break the salah on our own. Right? Like for instance, I'm making the salat and I decide I don't like the way it feels. I'm just gonna break the salat and just stop here, right? And start over. You can't do that. There's a formula. There's a way to go about doing it. You don't just masalan, I'm in qiyam and then I just go. And there's a certain way. There's a format. You can't just break your prayer. You can't say, it's my salat, I do what I want. No. We're talking about the azamat, the glory, the greatness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Show some respect. You can't just say or do whatever you want. It's even more so in Salat al-Jama'at when we're praying congregational prayers. There's not much room in Salat al-Jama'at for crying, is there? Let's be honest. Meaning, if you pray by yourself, there's some room for you to cry to Allah, isn't it? In your qunut, you can cry. Yani, in your recitation of Quran, if tears run from your eyes and you take your time, there's room for that. But in Jama'at, no. If it happens, it happens. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying, usually in Jama'at, now we're rules and regulations. Yani, if you move before the imam moves, it affects the jama'ah. If you move too long after the imam moves, like two rukun before the imam moves, after the imam moves, it can affect your jama'ah also, like you're not in jama'ah anymore, you're praying for Allah. There's rules. You have to follow the imam. You can't go before him. You can't lag behind him, isn't it? All of these rules, they're indicating on the greatness and the glory of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then you have to make wudu. And this is one reason we don't get a lot of pleasure out of our salat, right? Is because we don't look at it in the right way. When we're making our wudu, we're just doing it because it's a habit. Don't do it because you're going to see the King of Kings. Brush your teeth, put a little perfume, fix yourself up like when you're going to see your beloved. If you're going to go on a date, you're not just going to go without a shower. You're not going to go without brushing your teeth. You're not going to go without putting on a little perfume. Here you are going to see the most beloved. These things are recommended to do. Why? Because they remind us of the glory and the greatness and the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Send us out. And even in prayer, we're just talking about the outward, outside things right now, those zahiri things, right? We didn't even mention huzur al, that your heart should be present in the salat. You should be focused on what you're saying and what you're doing and who you're talking to. Most of us, when we do our salat, I'm the same way too. We're thinking about what we were doing. Or we're thinking about what we have to do. Yani a person can make salat their whole life and maybe only enjoy huzur al-qalb in the salat a few times. And all of this indicates on what's necessary for us to recognize the glory and the greatness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Let me move on here. What about the masjid? Masjid also is one of those signs of the glory and greatness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Masjid, you can't just come in anyhow you want. Your body and your clothes have to be tahir. And there's sometimes you can't even make wudu come in. You can't come in at all. Because you're in a state of ritual impurity. Right? So you cannot enter the masjid until you do your ghusl or wudu or whatever it is, right? Whatever is required of it. If the masjid gets najis, you can't see this corner of the masjid get najis, right? And say, well, I'll clean it after salat. No. It has to be cleaned now. Unless your salat is in danger of going out or something like this. But if this corner of the masjid is najis, as an example, right? Then you come in to make your salat, you want to make salat, you can't say, well, I'll take care of it after my salat. No. It's masjid. Built with niyat masjid. You have to clean it now and then make your salat. Unless someone else is going to take care of it. If someone else is taking care of it, then you can go do your salat or whatever it is that you had to do. But the masjid has to be kept pure, isn't it? Real masjid, you can't let non-Muslims come in. Like a Muslim can't come into a masjid. This is why we recommend that we shouldn't build masjid in America, right? Within the other masjid, we should build, we're saying here we should build Islamic centers, right? Because we want the people to come and visit. We want the ladies to be able to come whenever they want. We want the men to be able to come whenever they want. This place should be open and there should be no barrier to anyone attending. But there's rules with masjid. This is showing you the glory of Allah. If you want to go into the place where you're going to pray to Allah, the glory, the azamat, the power, the kingship of Allah is such that there's certain things that must be done and certain things that shouldn't be done. Hajj is another example. You want to go for Hajj. You can't just go for Hajj in your jeans and your t-shirt, You have to dress in a certain clothes. When you go for Hajj, you can't just enter Makkah as your life. There's certain things that have to be done. You have to do tawaf, and you have to make salah, and you have to do this, and you have to do that. And there's a certain way to perform Hajj. You can't just go there and do what you want to do. Purity is required. Certain actions are required. Look, in the time of Ihram, even you're married, your wife is halal for you, you can't touch her. Even if the bug bites you, you can't kill it. There's rules. But even in Hajj, you can't pull up the plants. This is showing you, indicating on the greatness, the glory, the power, the rulership of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Send another I mean, as an example of the Hajj, non-Muslims can't take them up. There's a certain azimut, there's a certain dignity, there's a certain greatness, you cannot enter there. All of these things indicate on the glory of the power of Allah. Surah Rahman, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. وَلَمَنْ خَافَ مَقَامَ رَبِّهِ كَمَا. And for whoever has fear and respect for the maqam of his Lord. Here, we're not talking about khawf from adab. We're not talking about fear of punishment. Here we're talking about khawf, respect, fear for the maqam, for the status of Allah. Huh? This is something very holy, something very powerful that indicates on, the glory and the greatness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Another example from Quran, in Surah Taha, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking to Hazrat Musa. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Inni ana rabbuka, فاخلع عليك إنك بالوادي المقدس طوى. Allah says to Hazrat Musa, surely I am your Lord. Inni ana rabbuka, surely I am your Lord. فاخلع, take off your shoes. عليك إنك بالوادي المقدس طوى. Surely you are in the holy valley of Tuwa. He himself is holy. He himself, I'm not an insan, he's holy. If you were to find out today that some shoes we found are the shoes of Hazrat Musa alayhi salatu wasalam, that he took off in Wadi Tuwa, right? You would say those shoes are holy, isn't it? Isn't it? You would treat those shoes special, isn't it? Because they belong to a holy man, Hazrat Musa alayhi salatu wasalam. What was so holy about this valley? Why does Allah tell Musa, Musa, take off your shoes here in this spot right here? Is there something special about that ground right there? One aspect that my teacher was telling to us is perhaps it's nothing more than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, I am your Lord. And that's what made that ground holy. Because in this place, you see, you have to understand, we don't dig it like that because we live an ordinary life like Bahima, right? We live a life like that, but we don't dig it. That there's a deep connection between place and time and spirituality. That's why Masalan is an example, right? Certain places in the earth are holy. That's why, as an example, certain times are holy. Certain things are holy. There's a connection, intersection between time and space, adad, numbers. Why do we say tasbih 34, 33, 33? Why are some du'as recommended to be said this many times? Why is it in salat that there's this many rak'ah at this time, but this many rak'ah in the evening or in the night? These things are mystical, holy things. Some Mufassirin say that it's only because Allah says to Musa, Inni ana rabbuka, that this ground became holy. Take off your shoes now, because the ground is holy. Just because Allah said that one sentence, I am your Lord. And from the time Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, I am your Lord, the ground that Musa was standing on became holy. Allah told him, take off the shoes now. You dig it? Let's move on. Send us salawat. We have to begin looking to the greatness and the glory of Allah, the power of Allah, the rulership and kingship of Allah in everything. And we must begin to see it, strain to see it, look to see it. Just like I told you in the beginning when we started, there's some pictures that the artists paint, and it looks like one thing, but the more attention that you pay to it, then you see a whole nother scene in that painting. We have to be able to look through the ordinary things that are surrounding us and see the azamah of Allah, and see the glory and greatness of Allah, the rulership of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We have to look at our salat, look at our Quran, look at the world through these spectacles. And it all depends on how you look at it. Tonight is one of those layali. Allah says in Quran, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Inna anzalnahu fi laylatil qadr. Wa ma adraka ma laylatul qadr. Laylatul qadr khayrun min alf ash-shahr. Inna anzalnahu fi laylatil qadr. The Quran was revealed in one night. Now look, the ground that Moses was standing on, the ground that Hazrat Musa was standing on, it became holy just because Allah said one sentence, I am your Lord. And it made that ground holy. So how holy is the night that all of Quran was sent down? Yani one sentence from Allah makes the ground that Musa is standing on holy. And Musa has to take off his shoes. And the entire Quran is sent down in Laylatul Qadr. So how holy is that night? Even Allah says, وَمَا أَدْرَاكَ مَا لَيْلَةُ الْقَدْرِ. Can you even begin to understand what's Laylatul Qadr? Can you even guess at it? Can you even understand it? Can you even grasp it? Now, Hazrat Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, who this verse is addressed to him, clearly he understands it, right? But those of us whose followers, who's reading, do we understand? What does it mean? It's better than 1,000 months. Now listen, I want to make something clear with you. A lot of people are going to come here and sit on the minbar and tell you 1,000 months is roughly equal to the lifespan of a human being. And so the night of Qadr is equal to the more than the lifespan of the average human being. Isn't that what you heard before? Isn't that what you heard before? Understand something about Arabic. Arabic language, man, is a deep language. The other night I was chilling talking to somebody else. I think they said they're trying to learn Persian. They said learning Persian is a lot easier than learning Arabic. It is, man. I'll tell you right now. I studied Arabic for 4 years before I ever went to Iran. And because I had a good foundation, then when we went to home, learning Persian was like eating jello. It was easy.
You're smart, man.
Huh? Inshallah. I'm a giant. Learning Persian is easy, right? Arabic is like a deep language. Arabic is an ocean. This 1,000 alf in Arabic is what we call adad mubaligha. What's it mean? Just like in English, when we say, I've got thousands of dollars, it doesn't necessarily mean that you only have 1,000 or 1,500 or 2,000. It means that you've got a lot of money. Okay? And it's the same thing with the Quran. The meaning isn't just that it's better than 1,000 months. The meaning is it's better than thousands and thousands and thousands of months. Because it's adad mubaligha. It's symbolic of kithrat. It's symbolic of abundance. It's not just that this one night is better than 1,000 months. This one night is better than thousands and thousands and thousands of months. You dig it? Sing the salah. Now then, this is what I want to get to. If one sentence of Allah turns the soil under the feet of Musa holy, and Musa has to take off his shoes, then an entire Quran, because this is what we read as followers of Al-Bayt, in Laylatul Qadr, the entire Quran was revealed. All of it. It's not just the story that you might have heard from some of our brothers that, Iqra was revealed in Laylatul Qadr. No, Laylatul Qadr, all of Quran was revealed. From start to finish, all 114 surahs was revealed in that one night to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. How holy is that night? How special is that night? Allah says it's more holy than thousands of months. And that's the Quran, the silent Quran, the Quran that can't speak, the Quran that can't talk, the Quran that can't walk, the Quran that can't be an example and can't act. In Laylatul Qadr also, the Quran Natir was taken up. So in Laylatul Qadr, Quran silent is set down. And in Laylatul Qadr, the speaking Quran is lifted up. Y'all dig where I'm going with it? Huh? Who is Ali Nabi Talib alayhi salatu wasalam? He's the speaking Quran. Then this Quran that we have with us, it's a Quran that's just there. We have to read it. We have to open its pages and use it. Ali Nabi Talib alayhi salatu wasalam, he's the speaking Quran. And there's no, look, you have to look for the signs. Look through the Zahir and try to find the signs that exist. What's the man's name? Ali. The name alone will tell you who he is. Ali. No other Imam has Sifat al-Jalala in their name like him. Ali. This Ali, his name tells you who he is. His life shows you who he is. Born inside the Kaaba, raised by the best of human beings, served Islam from the beginning to the end. There's no other way for his life to end than where? In the most powerful month, on the most powerful night, at the most powerful time. Y'all realize the most powerful time of the day is Salat al-Fajr, right? These people come and say that the Salat al-Asr is the middle prayer. So how can Salat al-Asr be the middle prayer when we start counting our day from Maghrib? You got Maghrib, Isha, the middle prayer is Fajr, the most powerful prayer. The prayer that you have to pay attention to is Fajr, not Asr. Asr is easy to make. Asr, you're awake, you're moving around, you're at work. Fajr, the bed is so nice. To get out of bed and go make wuzu, that itself is a test. Especially in the cold climate, right? And we know from riwayat that this time of the day, the time of Fajr, is very powerful time of day. It's recommended that you should stay up from this time until after the sun rises, especially if you need increasing rizq. If you want your rizq to increase, then you stay up between Fajr and sunrise. Why? Because that's the shift change. You know what I mean by shift change? Shift change between angels. Some are going back to the base, some are coming back down. And this is where your rizq for the day is determined. A lot of us don't stay up after Salat al-Fajr. We go right back to bed. Stay up at Salat al-Fajr. Recognize the glory and the greatness of Allah. Last year, Shahr Ramadan, what I used to do is, after Suhoor, I go outside. And I started to notice something. For Suhoor, there's one type of bird that sings. Try it yourself here. Go outside and try it. For Suhoor, before Suhoor, no birds are singing. Now listen to me. There's no birds singing. When Suhoor is coming in, one particular bird starts to sing. You dig it? When Fajr is coming in, another bird starts to sing. Huh? Different from that person. And when the sun starts to rise, all the birds start to sing. Huh? It's a very powerful time of the morning. It's not by coincidence that Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali alayhi salatu wasalam, he's martyred in the masjid on one of the Layali al-Qadr. In the beginning of these Layali al-Qadr. At the most powerful time of the day. In the mihrab, in the Salat al-Jama'ah. I mean, these are all power upon power, upon power, upon power, upon power. And in what position? In the sajda, in the most powerful position in the prayer. Yani, signs upon signs upon signs upon signs. It's not coincidence that Ibn Muljam he rises up from his place in the Saf and attacks Amir al-Mu'mineen as Imam is picking his head up from Sajda. You hear them say that Imam Ali alayhi salatu wasalam, his forehead was split open. Now I want you to think for yourself, what kind of a wound did Ibn Muljam, who's attacking from behind, pay attention to the scenario. Ibn Muljam is behind Amir al-Mu'mineen. He's attacking Amir al-Mu'mineen from behind because they cannot face Amir al-Mu'mineen. They cannot go to his face and attack him. So he's attacking from behind and he's striking from above. What kind of blow had to be delivered to Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salatu wasalam that would split his forehead open up? Yani the sword comes down on the top of the head of Amir al-Mu'mineen and splits the head of Amir al-Mu'mineen till it opens up the old wound of Amir al-Mu'mineen. Where did Amir al-Mu'mineen get that wound? Brothers and sisters, there are signs upon signs, signs upon signs, signs upon signs. The wound in the forehead of Imam Ali alayhi salatu wasalam that was opened up by the sword, the old wound, the old scar that was opened up by Ibn Muljam la'natullah alayh. Where did that scar come from? From when he faced Allah. When all of Iman was facing all of Kufur. This forehead of Imam Ali is opened up again. I want you to understand who is Ali. Ali doesn't cry out, ah! Ali doesn't cry out, I! Ali doesn't say, ouch! Ali doesn't regret. Oh, Ali's been waiting for this. Ali's been watching the night sky. Ali's been recognizing the signs. Ali's been seeing the movements. Ali says, tonight is the night that I will be martyred. His daughter says to him, Ali, don't go. Ali says, stiffen your breast for death. Don't show sorrow when death arrives in your valley. Ali leaves his home and goes to masjid. He knows today he will reach Shahada. What is the response of Ali alayhi salatu wasalam when he struggled with the sword of Ibn Muljam la'natullah alayh? I've become successful. I've gained the ultimate success. You gain Shahadat in layali. You gain Shahadat in the best position, in the best place, at the best time, in the best time of year, and at the best time of day. ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم ولعنة الله على القوم الظالمين آمين رب العالمين يا علي.
اللهم ارحم امواتنا واموات الحاضرين ويا ارواحهم ويا ارواح شهداء الاسلام نري ثواب صورة المباركة الفاتحة مشروعة بذكر الصلاة على محمد وآل محمد.
फिर कौन सा पढ़ा है हिंदू मुझे
Ya Hussein, 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 मुल्जिम है दर को मारा रोजेदार कयामत के दिन है इब्ने मुल्जिम है दर को मारा रोजेदार कयामत के दिन है तुमसे छुटता है मौला तुम्हारा रोजेदारों कयामत के दिन है यूनी खबर रसूल खुदा है घर में जहरा का मातम बुझा है खाकुराता है लड़का कुलबा रोजेदारों कयामत के दिन है इब्ने मुल्जिम है दर को मारा रोजेदारों कयामत के दिन है आले अहमद पे आफत आई बेकसों पर यतीमी है छाई उड़ गया चढ़ते हैं दर का साया रोजेदारों कयामत के दिन है इब्ने मुल्जिम है दर को मारा रोजेदारों कयामत के दिन है घर में खालिक के है दर को मारा जानशीन पैगंबर को मारा आए सजदे में परवर को मारा रोजेदारों कयामत के दिन है इन्ने मुल्जिम है दर को मारा रोजेदारों कयामत के दिन है क्यों ना रोए ये वो गम नहीं है शब ये आशुर से कम नहीं है खुद में भी ये मातम है बरपा रोजेदारों कयामत के दिन है इन्ने मुल्जिम है दर को मारा रोजेदारों कयामत के दिन है इब्ने मुल्जिम है दर को मारा रोजेदारों कयामत के दिन है अली मौला हैदर मौला या अली मौला मौला या अली मौला या अली मौला दर मौला या अली मौला दर Dharmala, 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 Dharmala,
So there will be a live broadcast of the Amal after this, after the iftar program, inshallah.